Welcome back to the channel, everybody. In today's video, I got another tier list coming at you guys. We're going to be looking at the worst financial trends. Now, in 2026, it seems like every single day we got new financial trends popping up left and right off of social media. So I'm taking the most popular ones and I'm going to rank them on what I think will absolutely destroy your wealth and stuff that's actually pretty good and I'd call pretty much the gold standard of financial trends. Now, first things first, I did get a new microphone. I can't tell if I sound better. Let me know in the comments what you think down below. Also, if you enjoy the tier list, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's go ahead, let's get into it. All right, so let's go ahead and let's start off this list here with doom spending. Now, I think this is probably one of the worst financial trends that have ever hit the world. And ideally, doom spending is this mindset where nothing's ever going to get better in your life. You know, there's no point to save for the future. There's no point to invest for the future. The world's in a tough spot right now, and I hate everything going on. So I'm just going to spend all the money I have because that's the only form of control and comfort that I feel. I think this is probably one of the most detrimental mindsets anyone can have when it comes to their finances. You're basically telling yourself nothing is ever going to get better in your whole life. And I think that's a terrible mindset. You know, people like to say, oh, I'm doom spending because the world's in a bad spot. But like, when has the world not been in a bad spot? So I'm pretty sure people in like 1901 were probably better with their finances than people who doom spend. So if you're falling into this doomer mindset or this doom spending mindset, you really have to do your best to get out of this. Literally save $5 a day, $5 a week, start investing a little bit, whatever it might be. I'm here to tell you that you do have control over your life and your finances, and you can make things better if you want to see a change. So doom spending is an absolute wealth destroyer. This is one of the dumbest and worst trends that have ever hit us financially. Next up is sports betting. Now, I actually was not going to put this trend on the tier list because I feel like I've kind of overcooked this topic before. You know, I've talked about it in prior tier lists and prior videos, and I am openly, against sports betting and gambling culture in general. However, story time for you guys. I was actually getting my hair cut earlier today before I recorded this video, and in my barbershop, there's around 12 barbers, and they were actually watching the PSG versus Arsenal game, the football game. And tell me how every single barber in that barbershop had money riding on the game. Every single one. And like, they were like, bro, I need, PSG to win because if PSG wins, I get $1,000. And the other barber would be like, no, I need Arsenal to win because if Arsenal loses, I'm going to lose, $650. Like, each one of these young barbers all had hundreds of dollars riding on this Arsenal versus PSG game. And here's the thing. Look, you could say, okay, well, maybe they're making good money. Maybe it's just for fun. I don't say this lightly. Almost every single guy I know that I could like reach out to right now is probably sports betting. And it's like this epidemic of just degeneracy because you can't tell me everyone sports betting has a good savings fund, has a good emergency fund, has a good investment account, is consistently putting money into their 401k. If that was the story, maybe I'd be a little bit more lenient, but it's like these guys are going broke sports betting because they're chasing that high of winning, $1,000 or something. It's just stupid. I'm just completely against it. It's an addictive thing that a lot of young guys unfortunately fall into nowadays. This taken too far is an absolute wealth destroyer. This, in my opinion, is going to get to the point where people are genuinely losing out on hundreds of thousands of dollars of wealth because instead of investing that money and being smart with that money and using it to actually improve their lives, a lot of it's getting funneled into sports betting, and I'm just completely against that. Next up, let's talk about NFTs. And oh boy, I don't know if you guys remember NFTs. I remember NFTs. And basically every big YouTuber at the time, all these billionaires, millionaires were shilling NFTs to normal people because they said, oh, I made 100,000 off of selling my NFT, and I made 250,000 selling my NFT. And the reason they were making so much money is because it was just this like cesspool of rich people selling NFTs to each other. So of course they were making 250K per sale because you would just sell it to your rich best friend. In the picture right here, these Bored Apes, like this is the dumbest shit ever. Basically people were buying these art pieces, and I'm using air quotations right now, and basically each one was individual, and basically you owned the keys to that artwork. So there was like this idea that while someone could, yes, just screenshot it, you actually owned it online, it was just so dumb. And all these big YouTubers were shilling it out to their audience, telling people, bro, you got to buy NFTs. You got to store your wealth in NFTs. It's going to be rich. And pretty much in 2026, me personally, I would probably give someone like a gum wrapper and a penny for a Bored Ape. Like they actually have no value. NFTs pretty much went to complete zero. So any normal retail investor that invested money into NFTs, I would say probably 99.87% of them completely lost all their money. Maybe some people made a little bit of money off of it. But at the end of the day, this was an absolute wealth destroyer. This was insane. This was a crazy point in time when it came to financial trends. Next up, let's talk about financial gurus. Now, this is about a 50-50 for me, specifically talking about like internet financial gurus. And, look, there's some people out there that really have your best interests in mind and they want you to succeed and they'll give you true actionable advice to follow. Then there's other people where you watch their videos, they seem like they know what they're doing, and then you realize that they don't even actually know anything about finances. They're pretty much probably either using AI or research they found online to make it sound like they know what they're doing when they're not. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because you guys should really watch this video from Graham Stephan and the Money Guys on Graham Stephan's podcast. It's honestly a disaster. I don't know why he even posted this video, but basically the Money Guys break down Graham Stephan's portfolio. And I've watched some of his videos before, and he seems like he knows what he's talking about. And this guy's like a multimillionaire, and he has like no tax advantaged accounts for retirement. He has $1 positions, $2 positions in random stocks. He's invested into GameStop. He uses Robinhood for everything. It's just very weird when you like watch some of these financial gurus and how they actually act in the real world and what they do with their finances versus what they portray that they do online. And that's why I think, financial transparency is so important. So I would say this is a 50-50, right? I think some people are fake and really have no idea what the hell they're talking about. And unfortunately, just because they're rich, a lot of people listen to them. And then I also think that there's a lot of people out there who really have good intentions and, will try to actually help their audience succeed and reach financial freedom at some point in their life. Next up is side hustles, and more specifically, the side hustle obsession that we've seen kind of blow up recently on social media. I've also outspoken against this. I don't necessarily agree with this. I think side hustles are great. I think if you can get another form of income, I think that's amazing. Not all of us want to rely on our 9 to 5 to put food on the table. And if you can have a side hustle that supplements you $500, $1,000, $2,000 a month, I mean, that's amazing. That's a huge win when it comes to your finances. The issue I have with the side hustle obsession is, one, a lot of people go way overboard with this and think you need like 7 side hustles when that it's just unrealistic. Like no person is going to be able to actually do that. Like I have a real 9 to 5 and sometimes it's hard to even post YouTube videos because I'm so busy with work. So thinking the average person can have more than one side hustle or even one side hustle in general is just completely unrealistic. The other problem I have with it is that a lot of people seem to make it where it's like if you don't have a side hustle, you just clearly don't want to get ahead in life, with which it's just another thing I don't agree with. I think a lot of people make a lot of great money with their 9 to 5s and are happy with them, and it's like a foreign concept that you can be happy with your 9 to 5 and not necessarily seek out a side hustle to put food on the table. At the end of the day, it's to each their own, right? Some people love side hustles, some people hate them. But this also is another 50-50 for me right here. I semi-agree with this based off some situations, and I semi-disagree with this based off other situations. Next up is Geo-Arbitrage. This has become ever more popular as a financial trend that a lot of younger people are getting into. And essentially, if you don't know what this is, it is ideally making a good living, a lot of money, and basically storing as much value and as much money away as possible, just with the idea that at some point you're going to move, out of your city you're in to a small, low cost of living city, or more specifically, you're going to actually move out of America or out of your country to a lower cost of living area. Now, this is one of those things also it's kind of like a mixed bag for me specifically because like, for me, I love America. I would want to live in America the rest of my life. I know things get expensive here, but I'm comfortable here. My family's here. My friends are here. I don't care about my finances that much to necessarily leave everything behind just to live in a lower cost of living area. But to some people, this is the gold standard for them. Stack as much money as possible, and then they'll go move to Taiwan or they'll go move, I don't know, wherever people leave to live cheaper and, try to build a life that way. So I would say at the end of the day, people who have the intention of doing this, it's a mostly good intention. I don't think this is the worst financial trend that has ever hit us, but it's just not for me personally. But I completely understand people who want to do this. Next up on the list here is job hopping. Now, was once again very outspoken against job hopping. I didn't think it was a good idea. I was one of those people who believe that, you find a company that you like to work for, you plant your roots and you try to work the ladder until I job hopped and I'm like, wow, this is the best thing I ever did for my finances. So just right off the rip, this is the gold standard of financial trends. I completely support job hopping. At the end of the day, you're not loyal to any of these corporate companies because they're not loyal to you. So if you can leave one of them to increase your pay 20, 30, 40, 50%, by all means, you absolutely do it. I'm here to tell you, you take the plunge, you job hop, you make more money. Now, the only time I'm really against this is like if you abuse it a little too much and then your resume is kind of like all over the place, or you can't really like hold a job down for more than a year. Kind of at that point, I'm against it. But all in all, I think job hopping is a great financial trend. I don't think it's hurting anybody. And I think it's putting more power in our shoes as the employees versus power in the employer's hands. So fully support job hopping. Next up is the FIRE movement. Now, this is financial independence, retire early, if you've never heard of it. And essentially the goal is to live below your means, invest consistently, avoid lifestyle inflation, and just build the biggest nest egg that is possible in the shortest amount of time. That way you can retire at whatever your age goal is. Now, I think the FIRE movement is great. I think it teaches a lot of people financial literacy. I do have a few caveats with it. The first caveat I have with the FIRE movement is you really have to obsess over your finances if you're going to hit these goals, and you have to sacrifice a lot. Now, for some people, they're not meant to sacrifice that much. I'm one of them included, where like, even though I'm very on top of my finances, I still like to enjoy life to a certain extent. I just spend my money in a controlled manner. When you're really locked into this FIRE movement, like you're not going out to eat, you're not enjoying your money at all. It's very strict. So it takes the right person to actually, get themselves involved with this. The second thing I don't necessarily like about this movement is it seems like a lot of people who try to FIRE, they get cold feet when it comes to actually pulling the trigger on their retirement. Like if you look at the FIRE subreddit, fat FIRE, lean FIRE, whatever it might be, there's a lot of people with massive nest eggs and they're like not doing it. Like they're not actually retiring. And I feel like the worry from them is like once they actually pull the trigger and retire, they have to follow out with everything they've been doing, and all the money they've been saving now actually has to supplement their lifestyle. And I think a lot of people get scared to actually pull the trigger on the FIRE movement. But once again, at the end of the day, I think this is a mostly good financial trend. I support it. I think the intentions are good. Just a lot of people get cold feet when it comes to actually pulling the trigger and, completely quitting their jobs and actually enjoying their money. Next up is financial transparency online. I put my logo here because I'm very, transparent about my finances. There's a lot of people in this, in the niche that are very transparent about their finances. I think this is great. The reason why is because it teaches people a lot about their finances when it comes to financial literacy, investing, saving, whatever it might be. Obviously, this has its pros and cons. I put my finances out there for the world to see. I get a lot of hate. I get a lot of people who tell me I don't know what I'm doing. I get a lot of people who argue about where I put money, who say I should do this, who say I should do that. But at the end of the day, I like showing my finances online because I believe if I had a room of 100 people, I would say at least 80% of them will get some type of value out of it. And to me, that's a win. So I think showing financial transparency online is a great trend that a lot of people, especially younger people, are starting to do with each other because we're all in this to win together. So we have to support each other, and it all starts with transparency. So I think this is mostly good. Next up on the list here is forex trading, day trading, whatever it might be. You guys should know where this is going to fall. I heard this great quote. I was watching this podcast and I can't remember the guy's name. I'll put the video on the screen if I find it. And he said something that really stuck with me, where he said, if you can't explain your investment strategy to a 5-year-old within 4 sentences and they understand it, more than likely you're doing the wrong thing. And this is how I feel with forex trading, day trading, options. It's just too complicated for me. Some people might like it. Some people might enjoy it as a hobby or ways to make more money. But I'm a boring investor. I like putting my money in the S&P 500, into VT, into VU, into ETFs, and letting my money ride out. I don't need to do any of this crazy stuff. It just doesn't interest me. To me, I feel it feels too risky to me because I don't fully understand it. But even the people who do understand it tend to lose hundreds of thousands of dollars doing it. So this is just absolute wealth destroying at its finest. I know, once again, I always say this, there's going to be people online saying, oh, bro, I was day trading and I made $50,000. For the majority of people out there, this will be an absolute wealth destroyer for them. They're much better off putting their money into index funds. Next up is celebrity essentials. I'm a huge hater on this. I think this is so stupid because I'll watch a lot of these like GQ videos where it's like these athletes and they talk about their essentials and they're just flexing how much money they have. And the problem is, common people out there who are doom spending, who have no financial literacy, who don't save their money, they see these essential videos, whether it's on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and they think, oh, because my favorite celebrity has it, maybe it's my turn to buy it. And it's like, just because your favorite celebrity has a $500 cologne and says that's his essential does not mean it's essential to anyone's life. It's cologne. It's not essential to anything. So celebrity essentials, just because people are rich, does not give them a voice to say what's essential and what's not essential in life. And just because they're rich through playing sports or whatever it might be, does not mean they know anything about finances at all. So this is just a bad financial trend. I do not like this. Next up is the money manifestation trend. I would say this isn't necessarily a new one, but it is popping up more on social media. And this is just one that I don't agree with either because, look, I can look in the mirror every single day and tell myself I'm going to be rich, and I can write it on my arm, and I can post it on my wallpaper on my phone. I think having some type of goal to look at every day is a good thing, right? I'm not necessarily hating on that, but I think the idea that just by manifestation, everything will come to you, I think is completely false. You have to be the one to go out there and grab life and say, I'm going to make money today. I don't know how you're going to do it, whether it's through your job, side hustle, whatever it might be, but just because you manifest money does not mean money is going to show up in your bank account. At the end of the day, you have to have the discipline, the right mindset, everything like that to actually work harder and reach those goals. So people who specifically focus on only the manifestation part of it, I think this is a bad financial trend. I think if you bake this in with actually being a hard worker, disciplined, have the right mindset, I think this is great, but only focusing on the actual manifestation part of it, it's not going to do anything for you. Next is financing everything, and somehow we've reached this point where people just absolutely finance everything, whether it's cars, phones, furniture, vacations, concert tickets. Once again, I've mentioned it before, some people even buy now, pay later food or finance food. And the problem is financing everything makes everything in your life feel affordable because you only have to deal with the monthly payment. But unfortunately, before you know it, you've got 20 different payments all adding up and you can't save anymore, you can't invest anymore. And look, obviously not all financing is bad. Not all of us have cash to just go buy a house or to maintain certain low interest debts. But at the end of the day, when you have the money, you have to just pay for it. And like you just have to use the money, pay for it, and try not to finance everything and let those monthly payments really pile up. So this also is just a bad financial trend. Financing everything is the norm, and I think at some point we have to get away from that if we want to truly reach financial freedom. Next up is meme coin investing. Now, This is just one of those things that I also disagree with, where a lot of people will try to get the easy route to being rich. They'll try to get the easy route to 10xing their money, 3xing, 5xing their money. And what they do is they buy meme coins. And what happens is they get wrecked, completely wrecked. And more than likely, the people who are truly making life-changing money off of meme coins, a few things are happening. Either one, they just got super, super lucky, or two, they're pumping and dumping them and you're getting left behind. So meme coin investing is terrible. I do not agree with this. Once again, no one can predict the crypto market. No one can say, oh, because I buy this meme coin, it's going to go up. And just because, once again, your favorite YouTuber, celebrity, or some random person on X is saying, oh, I'm telling you guys, Wiener Coin 300 is going to be the next game changer. It's 5xing tonight. Don't buy it. This is just an absolute wealth destroyer as well. People will get wrecked and lose all their money off meme coin investing. Next up is index fund investing. Now, look, there's a lot of terrible financial trends on the internet right now, but there's also a lot of good ones that more communities are starting to back. And I just love seeing the popularity out there, especially in like my niche, that pulls in from index fund investing. And look, this is not exciting. And that's exactly why this is going to work, because instead of trying to pick the next hot stock, to pick the next Palantir or SanDisk, all you're doing is you're buying a small piece of hundreds of companies at once. It's very simple, and it's boring, it's consistent, and historically it has pretty much been the vast majorities of active investors over the long run. It's a tried and true formula that, while we can't say we can predict future returns based off of it, you can pretty much bet that this over a long period of time is going to be a winning strategy. And you're not going to chase any hype, no news headlines, nothing like that. You're not staring at charts. Simply all you're doing is putting your money in, you're setting, and you're forgetting. And the best part about stuff like this is if you're young, in your teens, in your 20s, even in your 30s, you have another 20, 30, 40 years ahead of you when it comes to investing. So by having a simple, proven strategy that we know is going to print W's, this is the way to go. Index fund investing is no-brainer. It is the gold standard for anyone looking to get financially literate and who's looking to get in charge of their finances. Absolutely do as much research as possible on index fund investing. Next up is being house poor. And this is when you buy so much of a house that it consumes your entire budget. And the reason I'm putting this as a financial trend is because there's a lot of people out there who believe still that no matter the price, no matter your budget, no matter your income, no matter whatever, we still have this dream that everyone needs to own a house. You could have a $300,000 house, or you could have a $6 million investment portfolio, but you're renting. And a lot of people, for some reason, believe that the person with the $300,000 house is better off than the other one because the other one's renting. So a lot of people put themselves into debt because they hear their whole lives that you need to have a house if you're considered successful and it's the American dream and blah, blah, blah. But there's just so many cons that come with a house. And now look, I want to be a homeowner at some point in my life. I'm not saying you shouldn't want to be a homeowner. A lot of people don't need to actually buy a house. And a lot of the times, specifically right now, renting makes a lot more sense. This is just a bad financial trend. Next up is the credit card reward obsession. This is another thing I just don't really agree with. Now look, if you are really good and you're really disciplined about using credit cards, and let's say you travel a lot for work, this can absolutely make sense. Look, these banks know how much cash back they're giving you. They know what they're rewarding you with, right? And they know that even if everyone took advantage of it, they would still profit off of you based off of interest they're charging you and etc. And the likelihood that the average American or the average person can use a credit card properly and actually take advantage of these billion-dollar, trillion-dollar banks properly is a very foreign subject, in my opinion. The more likelihood of what happens is a lot of people get excited because they get the new titanium bullshit card, and then they start using it for a few days and think, oh man, I'm gonna get so many points back. And then they forget about it, they accrue interest, and now their credit score is dropping and they're spending money to pay off their interest. And it's just a vicious cycle. Credit cards, for the majority of people out there, are a vicious cycle that keep people trapped for a very long time. Obviously, there's a slice of people who are very good at using credit cards, who are disciplined with it, and might get a free flight or two every couple $1,000s they spend. Sure. But more than likely, this is not good for the average person out there, and this is a bad financial trend, in my opinion. And the last thing that's not too much of a trend right now, but I definitely see it becoming a trend as, the GPTs and the chatbots evolve, is having AI financial advisors. Now, I kind of am 50-50 on this. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't think this is the worst thing in the world. However, this needs to be taken with a very massive grain of salt. Now, first reason, I think true financial advisors that charge people a lot of money is a ripoff. I think a lot of people out there, if they just spent a few hours a week understanding their finances, no one actually needs a financial advisor. Now, AI controlling that for you, this could have huge repercussions, and it could also benefit people in a lot of different ways where, let's say you need a quick question about your finances and you don't have a financial advisor, you don't have someone you can necessarily reach out to, ask it a quick question. It might give you some decent advice you could follow. Now, if you're dumping, your bank statements in here and it's messing stuff up, I could see this getting messy really fast. So I'm going to put this in the 50-50 category. I would think leaning more towards like the bad financial trends. Like I would just rather people out there educate themselves on their finances and really not need to ask for advice. But at the end of the day too, this could have some potential hidden benefits behind it with saving people money on financial advisors or just helping people out that don't necessarily have someone to reach out to. So that concludes my tier list here for the worst financial trends that you'll see in your 20s. And the main point I want to get across here with a lot of these trends is the things in the absolute wealth destroyers and the bad financial trends category. You will see hundreds, if not thousands of people online every single day promoting these trends to normal people. They'll tell you, hey, you got to start sports betting. You got to start manifesting money. You got to start, trying to obsess about credit cards and start investing in meme coins. And actually, you know what? Worst case scenario, just doom spend because nothing's going to get better in life. And what happens is a lot of normal people like you and I, we see these trends popping up left and right. We start, getting a little bit enticed about what these people are saying, and we follow these trends and we lose money. We become even more stressed about money. We become even more anxious about money. So it just leads back to the point that things you see on social media and these new trends that pop up left and right around finances, just be very careful before you actually take the dive and start following them because a lot of people end up losing their money and getting even more stressed. So other than that, I appreciate you guys for watching this video. Let me know in the comments down below what you agree with, what you disagree with. Let me know if my mic sounds better. And overall, let me know if there's anything I missed off this tier list. But other than that, I appreciate you guys for watching this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.